Maddie was a bubbly young lady with a talent for turning her room into a whirlwind of chaos. Clothes covered the floor, books were scattered like leaves, and shoes seemed to stay wherever they felt like. No matter how often her mom reminded her to tidy up, Maddie's favorite response was always, "I'll do it later." But later never seemed to arrive. One day, her mom came into Maddie's room. After dodging piles of clothes and stepping over random objects, she sighed and said with a worried look, "Maddie, something strange happened. I saw a lizard slip into your room when I was passing by, and while I tried to chase it out, it crawled into your suitcase." Maddie shot up from her bed. "A lizard? In my suitcase?" she shrieked, her voice higher than usual. Without another word, she dived toward the suitcase, clothes flying as she yanked everything out. With frantic energy, she flipped every piece of clothing, shaking them to make sure no lizard was hiding inside. But after all that chaos, the lizard was nowhere to be found. Still feeling uneasy, Maddie moved on to the rest of her room. She started picking up the scattered clothes, folding them neatly and putting them away one by one. She gathered the books from the floor, arranged them on the shelf, and organized everything in sight. Amidst tidying up, something caught her eye, something small and shiny under a pile of old clothes. She bent down and gasped. It was her favorite bracelet. The one she had lost months ago and had given up hope of ever finding. Maddie stared at it in disbelief. She had turned her room upside down searching for it back then, but it had disappeared into the abyss of her mess. And now, because of the lizard scare, it was right in her hand. By the time she was done, her room looked spotless, a complete transformation from the usual disaster zone. But, still no lizard had appeared. Frustrated and confused, Maddie called back to her mom. "Mom, I cleaned everything and checked every corner of my room, but there's no lizard." Her mom inquired calmly, with a raised eyebrow. "Oh. You didn't find it?" Maddie shook her head, her face twisted with confusion. "Nope. Nothing." Her mom smiled slightly and replied, "Well, maybe it's gone. But look at your room, it's sparkling clean now." Maddie stood there, puzzled. She didn't know whether to feel relieved or tricked. Had there really been a lizard? Or had her mom just said that to get her to clean up? She couldn't tell, and her mom wasn't offering any clear answers. As she stood in her newly cleaned room, something else struck her. If there had been a lizard, her messy room would have been the perfect hiding spot. A cluttered room, full of piles of clothes and scattered books, was an ideal place for creatures to hide, and maybe even breed. It wasn't just about the lizard anymore, it could be anything, bugs, spiders, or other creepy crawlies. She shuddered at the thought. She also realized that a messy room hides more than just clutter, it hides treasures too. Her lost bracelet was proof of that. Keeping her room tidy made it easier to find things she thought were lost forever. Determined, Maddie made a silent promise to herself. She wasn't going to give any creatures, real or imagined, a reason to think her room was a comfortable home. From that day forward, she kept her space neat and organized, not just because her mom might tell her about another lizard, but because she realized a clean room meant fewer surprises, both creepy ones and happy ones.